Alright, hello. How's everybody doing today? As per usual, I'm your host, Richie T, also known as Richard T, coming at you live today with some Modern. And today I'm bringing you a deck that you've all probably seen before in this format, but it's the deck I've currently been playing a lot in Modern and been having decent success with. And that's just, your normal everyday Modern burn deck. So let's get into what burn is. So for some of you who might not know what burn is because you're newer to Modern, or maybe for some reason this deck isn't in your play group, when did we start calling you Rich? Oh, I hate you, Aaron. That took me a minute to get. Aaron's over here in chat already making puns. It's didn't take long, but I appreciate it, Aaron. So what burn is it's your traditional aggro deck in the Modern format. Oh, is it? Oh, I did forget to change the title. I felt like I forgot to change something. Alrighty. There we go. Always professionals here. So Modern Burn, it's your traditional aggro deck. The goal is to just get your opponent from 20 to 0 as fast as possible. So, how are we doing that? Well, first, we obviously have to cast spells, so we have lands in our deck. We got a couple fetches and a couple Scolding Tarns, some Bloodstained Mires, an Arid Mesa, and a Wooded Foothills. This can really be anything, it's just this is the suite of red fetches I happen to play. Then we have a couple shock lands in here and 2 Sacred Foundries and 2 Stomping Grounds. The Stomping Grounds are just for sideboard cards, and the white is just a splash in the deck, so you don't really need all the Sacred Foundries. Because we also have 4 Inspiring Vantages, which are probably the best land in the deck, because being able to play a land that doesn't deal you damage turns 1 through 3 and also fixes your mana is great. This deck really wants to operate on 3 to 4 lands, and Inspiring Vantage just really helps you with that the most. We then have 4 Sunbaked Canyons, which Sunbaked Canyons are here because they're another red-white source, but they also help flooding. Again, as I mentioned, you only really want 3 to 4 lands. Anything after that really starts to hinder your chances of winning. And with the printing of Sunbaked Canyon, it really helps this deck out because when you do hit that later land drop that you didn't need, you can just sack Sunbaked to draw a card and keep the gas flowing. And then we have a couple basic mountains for things like Path to Exile, Field of Ruin, or when we need to conserve our life total against aggro decks. So, the biggest part of Burn is actually not the burn spells. It's actually the creatures that you play in Burn. Because you think of creatures that in Burn as multiple burn spells. Because typically if they get in 1 or more hits, they're going to essentially be bigger burn spells than what they traditionally would be at their mana cost. So we start off with 4 Goblin Guides. This is the traditional burn creature. 1 red, 2/2 haste. When it attacks, defending player reveals the top card. If it's a land, it puts it into their hand. So it's a solid haste creature. Giving them lands is a downside, but not big enough. Hopefully you're going to kill them faster than they can use those lands. Then we have 4 Monastery Swiftspear for haste and prowess. We do cast a lot of spells. Swiftspears do lead to the quickest kills in this deck. Typically turn 3 kills are accomplished with Q Monastery Swiftspears. And then we have 4 Eidolon of the Great Revel. This is a awkward card in this deck sometimes because we are only cards that cost 3 or less. So we're always going to take damage off our Eidolon. But the point of Eidolon is we're typically going to be dealing more damage to them than they deal to us. So the fact that Eidolon hits both of us is going to affect them more than it's going to affect us. And then I'm running a 1 of Grim Lavamancer in the main. This isn't something you see in most lists, but I wanted to free up a sideboard slot, so I moved one of the Lavamancers to the main. Then we're on to what are essentially just damage burn spells. They can be pointed at creatures, but they don't provide much utility on top of that. We have 4 lightning bolts. This is the traditional burn spell. Everybody knows and loves lightning bolt. There's not much to say about it. 1 mana, 3 damage is the pinnacle of burn spells. We have 4 lava spikes, just a worse lightning bolt that it's sorcery speed and can't hit creatures. We got 3 rift bolts, which are kind of a slower lightning bolt. You can pay 1 mana to suspend it, but your opponent then sees it coming, or sometimes you have to hard cast it for 3 mana. I think rift bolt's actually the worst burn spell in the deck. That's why I ended up trimming one for the Grim Lavamancer I put in the main. We have 4 skewers, which is the newest card added to burn. It's a 3 mana, deal 3 damage, but if your opponent has lost life this turn, it actually only costs 1. So it's essentially a lightning bolt, another copy of a sorcery speed lightning bolt, but it's less awkward than Rift Bolt because with the one of Grim Lavamancer that we added over the Rift Bolt, it actually works really well with like Lavamancer pinging them for 2 and then that activates Spectacle. And then we have 4 Boros Charms. Really one of the main reasons that we're splashing white in this deck is Boros Charm. 2 mana to deal 4 damage is great, and sometimes that extra point of damage can really just push you over the edge. Then we have some utility burn spells in the main. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. We have 4 Searing Blaze, which Searing Blaze is great because it can target creatures as well as your opponent. So it's essentially 2 mana, deal 6 damage if you think about it, because we're dealing 3 to them and 3 to a creature, which is also helping our creatures get through. So Searing Blaze is great. And then we have 4 Lightning Helixes for against other aggro decks. The fact that it's a gain 3, lose 3 for 2 mana is really right on par. So that's about it for the main deck. Pretty stock burn list. When we move on to the sideboard, we have 2 Path to Exiles for creature removal, 4 Skullcrack to stop life gain, 3 Destructive Revelries because, and this is the reason why I'm splashing the green, is only Destructive Revelry, because I think Leyline of Sanctity is going to be picking up in this format, so I really wanted to make sure I had some type of answer to that in the sideboard. We have 3 Core Firewalkers for against other aggressive decks, a couple Rest in Pieces for dealing with aggro decks, or not aggro decks, but graveyard decks. Things like Storm or the Vengevine decks, or Dredge even, I think Rip is very good against. And you just really want your hate piece to RKO them and just like take them out of the game. So Rip is the best one. Then we have a second Grim Lavamancer for the grindy matchups or the creature matchups. And that's pretty much it. As per usual though, before we hop into our games, I'm going to hop over to momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro.com and tell you guys to check out here for any of our links that you're looking for. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can check down in that description box below, and you can find the links to all of the things that I'm going to be talking about today, as well as access to our Twitch where you can interact with us, kind of like how Aaron is interacting with me today. On top of that, if you're looking to find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook and give us a like at Mom's Basement Games. You can head over to Twitter and give us a follow at Mom's Basement MTG. And once you're done with all of that, you can head back on over to our YouTube channel, where you can find the best standard, modern, legacy, vintage, commander, pioneer, pauper, draft, and vintage cube content. On top of that, I would super appreciate it if you gave me a follow on Twitter. My Twitter's at RichardTMTG. I talk magic, memes, League of Legends, Legends of Runeterra, anything else you want to talk about, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I'm always willing to chat. If you're looking for us on any other forms of social media, you can find us on Instagram at Mom's Basement Games, or you can find me on Instagram at RichieT2196. But I think with that, how about we hop on into our Modern League with our burn deck, shall we? So, how has everybody been? What is your guys' weekend plans? I'm not really sure what I'm doing this weekend yet. Might go to regionals, might just hang out, might go to Pando and play in the WPNQ Invitational qualifiers. Not 100% sure. I know tomorrow I'm going to be going to F&M, going hanging out with some friends, playing some Magic, so. But yeah, I don't really have, I know I'm going to do something this weekend, but I don't know what yet. I haven't quite made up my mind. Waiting to see if our opponent wants to bring it on. And they decide that they do want to tussle. We lost the die roll, which is kind of unfortunate. We're definitely a deck that likes to be on the play. But that being said, we have an excellent burn hand here. 2 creatures, 2 lands, a bunch of burn spells. This is exactly where we want to be. Opponent did choose to play first. They mulliganed. We're going to keep. And their opponent keeps their 6. They move to their second main phase before they play their land and their Arbor Elf. So this is probably Ponza. Alright. I think it's more important that we get aggressive than killing their mana dork. So we're going to go ahead and lead on this Goblin Guide. Go to combat. And get in there, little Goblin Guide. And so they draw Wooded Foothills. Always feels bad when Goblin Guide hits a land, but you know he's just doing his job, so. Opponent takes 2, and then it's their turn. Let's see what they have going on now. Plays a mountain, plays a birds. So we know they have that Wooded Foothills in their hand. And they're going to attack with the Arbor Elf. They're going to get in there. Alright, opponent, as you wish. The race will be on. I guess if their plan is to not block with it, it makes sense to attack. Then they pass it over to us. Alright, so we're going to play our land here. We're going to go ahead and fetch Shock, grabbing a Stomping Grounds. Then we're going to play a Swift Spear. I guess there's no reason to grab a Stomping Grounds there. We should have just grabbed a Sacred Foundry. And we're going to go ahead and bolt the bird. And I assume they're probably bolting our Swift Spear here. Yep. Alrighty. So then we will go to combat, attack them for 2. Trigger our Goblin Guide, which drew him another card. Guide must really like our opponent. And pass the turn back to them. So the opponent has access to 4 mana this turn. They're going to play that Foothills we knew about. Debating on what to get here. I assume it'll either be a forest or a mountain. Can't really see them getting a... Oh wow, they do get a Stomping Ground here. But they put it into play tapped, okay. So do they have something to do for 3 mana this turn? No? Just gonna get in there with the Arbor Elf again? They will. Oh. Phew. Almost skipped through our turn, I thought. Alright. Well, we're gonna play Goblin Guide. And then we're gonna go to combat. We're gonna get in there. And we see a Chandra Torch of Defiance on top of their deck. So we know that they're going to be drawing that next turn. And we know they have the land for it. So It's possible we just want to try to race our opponent now. Another bolt. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I think we're just suspending this Rift Bolt and saying go. We're just gonna try to get our opponent to 0. I assume the Chandra's probably gonna get used as a removal spell here. Yep, as expected. No attack with the Arbor Elf this time. Alright, hopefully we draw land this turn. Be nice to activate our Searing Blaze. We're just going to go for them now. Ooh. That one's not bad either. So now we have enough burn to kill our opponent in hand. So if we draw land, they die next turn. It's kind of just what burn does, you know. Gets in its early damage and then it finishes you off with spells. Ooh, that's a good one for them though. Oh, it's beginning of pre-combat main phase, so we got lucky there. Alright, we really need a land deck, or that works too. So we spike them, we skewer them, and we move on to game 2. I assume we move on to game 2. Maybe they have something cheeky. Nope, game 2 it is. Alright, so I think we're against either Gruul Monsters or Ponza. They're pretty similar decks either way. Don't really think we want Rest in Peace. Core Firewalker isn't really where we want to be. I can see Skullcrack for stopping some like small amount of life gain. Destructive Revelry, I'm not sure. I don't think it's good. I guess it doesn't kill the god no matter what. I kind of like Paths in this matchup because they do typically play bigger creatures. So we have like 7 cards we want to board out here. Typically my first board out is always Lava Spike. It's just the weakest burn spell. And it's pretty much getting upgraded by like the Skullcrack and the Grim Lavamancer. And then past that... I'm not in... This is a Modern League, Crusty Pirate. I'm not entirely sure how much I like Eidolon in this matchup. It's good early, but it's pretty bad late game because they're going to just be playing bombs. So I think... Could also just see like not bringing in Path. But I think Path is probably better than Eidolon. And I actually could even see just like leaving in 1 spike. What do you think, chat? I think this is an Eidolon out matchup. I think Eidolon's going to be more of a downside because they're not really playing anything that costs 3 mana. Typically, they're going to be going above 3 mana. Yeah, I agree. I think Eidolon's kind of weak here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if they're the mid-range list or if they're just Ponza. But I mean, they're pretty similar lists no matter what. Yeah, this hand's fine. Our mana's great. We really don't want to draw another land unless it's a canopy land, but... Panda BTW. Did you end up beating the Esper control list at Pioneer on Tuesday, or was it a draw? No Eidolon. We ended up drawing, but I just gave him the wins because we were both in the, because we were in the 1-1 bracket, so a loss is basically, or a draw is basically a loss for both of us. And, he was going to win anyways. He had a Scarab Guide going on me. Turn 1 Bop. Alright, we drew the answer for Bop, so we're going to go ahead and attack with our Goblin Guide here. Man, our opponent's really good at drawing lands off Goblin Guide. They play that forest that we knew about. Utopia Sprawl naming Red, I assume. Yep. And then a Courser of Crewfix. That would be a tough one for us to get through, but... Man, our draw is really good. Think we're going to go ahead and play a Goblin Guide. And then just path this Courser. Our opponent already has 5 lands, and typically their deck doesn't go above 5. Plus this lets us get our attacks in. Stomping Ground, Lightning Bolt. So we know they're drawing an answer to one of the 3 guides. Arbor Elf. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to play this Inspiring Vantage. Play this Goblin Guide. And then we're going to kill the Arbor Elf, because the Arbor Elf actually represents more mana than the birds because of the Utopia Sprawl. Searing Blaze resolves. Then we go to combat, we swing with the squad. They bolt down a guide, which was expected. Bolt down another guide. And they bolt down another guide. Wow, they had 3 lightning bolts in their hand. That's pretty good for them. And they're drawing a pillage next turn. Alright. So they're going to be empty-handed. So let's see if we can kill them from 10 faster than they can draw a payoff. Let's just suspend this Rift Bolt and pass since we have this Skull Crack to use. And our opponent plays an Arbor Elf. So we'll just fetch, grab a mountain, cast this Skull Crack, because if we draw a Boros Charm, we kill our opponent. Rift Bolt our opponent. Alright, and we drew a pretty good one. Eidolon represents our opponent dying in 2 turns. Alright, Sunbaked Canyon's a redraw. And that'll do it. That actually doesn't kill our opponent. So we're actually going to hold on to that and just use the Lavamancer. I don't think so. I think it's better to fire off the Skull Crack there. And Lava Man. Alright, starting out 1-0. got to see the efficientness of this modern deck, which is one of the things I really like about Burn. This deck is very consistent in what it does. You know, it's gonna get your opponent dead pretty fast, and that's kind of just where I want to be right now in Modern personally. I just want something consistent, something fast, something that can punish your opponent for having a bad draw. And that's kind of what Burn's done in Modern for really the whole format. The sideboard has gotten a little more congested now with putting the skull cracks there, but I think that's fine for the efficientness of having another 1-mana spell in your deck. Alright, what do we got here? Yeah, this isn't a great burn hand, but it's not one that we mulligan, just because typically, but only on Arena. Oh wow. I'll have to check that out. That actually sounds kind of sweet. I'm curious what's in the set. So we're gonna go ahead and keep this hand because even though I typically don't like to keep a hand without a 1-land creature or a creature on turn 1, the fact that we have an Eidolon, I think, gives us enough leverage here. Ooh, our opponent mulligans down to 5. That's rough. Cletus is $50. This is kind of awful. Oh, can you like just buy the cards? Alright, so we're going to conserve our life total since we have a white source and we have an Eidolon. We're just going to fetch a basic mountain here and then suspend our Rift Bolt. Oh. Yeah, I think Kalidas went up a lot because of Pioneer. Ah, now we see why they mulligan so much. The old Tron. Our hand is good if they don't have natural Tron, and kind of medium if they have it. Hey, thanks for subscribing with Twitch Prime, Ian. We super appreciate it. If any of you guys want to help support us, following us on Twitch and Facebook and Twitter is a great way. If you have extra money, donating to our Patreon or subscribing to our Twitch channel is definitely appreciated and helps out a lot. This is only good cards, the set, rather than the usual draft crap. Yeah, I mean, I think they're just... Oh, it's Eldrazi Tron. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they're probably trying to push it for constructed, so... Kind of makes sense. We're going to play a Matter Reshaper here, which we will promptly Lightning Bolt on our turn. Wonder if we're just supposed to race our opponent. Three, 6, 9. No, I think we're still supposed to kill this Matter Reshaper. Do you think we kill the Matter Reshaper to race? I think we do. Like, I think if not, I think we're like helixing, skewering, and passing. But I think I like the 2 damage off Eidolon more. Yeah. Well, the fear is that they flip something off it, but I agree. I think that fear isn't worth it. Chalice of the Void. Would you like to put that into play for 0? No? Weird. Alright, so our hand is Chalice proof, which is nice. Play our Sunbaked Canyon. Attack for 2 and then say go. We can Helix depending on what they're going to put the Chalice on or what they play. So, not super worried about using the Skewer right away. It's more mana efficient to use the Lightning Helix. Oh, it looks like they're on your version, the Once Upon a Time version, Aaron. So Chalice of the Void, X equaling 1. That's fine. Go ahead and Helix them at the end step. Didn't really want to draw a land there. I think we're going to cycle this Canopy. That's pretty good. So we'll attack. Where are you driving to tomorrow, Siggy? And we'll go ahead and play this other Eidolon. And then say go. What are you going to Kentucky for? Yeah, that'd be a long... I would agree that that is a long one. Let's see what our opponent has here. Oh, nice. Good luck, man. Hopefully it goes well. Corn. So I think our opponent is dead. We just attack with some Eidolons and then skewer them. Opponent's deciding what to get. Probably grab... If you have an Orbs of Warding, that's like definitely the best grab. But they grab a Sky Sovereign. And we draw another card that kills them, so. We're going to go to combat. Attack them for 4. And just go ahead and skewer them. And that's how Burn does it. Gets them dead. Alright, so sideboarding against Eldrazi Tron. This is definitely not a Rest in Peace matchup. I like Skullcrack. Eidolon, I'm 50-50 on how much I like it. I'm never 100% sure if it's an Eidolon matchup. Oddly enough, I actually like Grim Lavamancer in this matchup. Even though 2 damage isn't a lot, it... Opponents talking about their bad hands and bad draws. And then Nourishing Shoal saves them. Oh... That's the line right there. But I like Grim Lavamancer in this matchup because it lets any of our bolts trade with any of their creatures. This is not a core Firewalker matchup. So we got about 6 cards we want to take out here. And I can really see any combination of them. What do you think, chat? I'm thinking... Hmm. We trimmed on ones pretty well, actually. Tell them get wrecked, scrub muffin. I kind of don't like Eidolon that much, especially again. Yeah, I kind of agree. Especially with the Once Upon a Time version, I feel like they're going to have what they need a lot more. And then the last two... I kind of think I'm medium on, like, Rift Bolt. Or Skewer. Do you think we actually need or want Revelry on the draw? Maybe I could see not wanting Revelry on the draw. But then again, they do have Karn. I think I'm going to go with just taking out a couple Skewers. Yeah, we'll go with this. I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm not sure what's 100% better in this matchup between Skewer and Riftbolt either. This hand is very reasonable. We have our colors, we have spells, we have creatures. Definitely going to be a keep. Opponent's debating on if they want to keep their 7 or not. So how is I know you've been playing a lot of the opponent's deck, Aaron. How do you feel this matchup is for them? I found it to be like pretty even, but that was before the Once Upon a Time version of Eldrazi Tron. Opponent decides to keep, we will also keep. Opponent leads on Once Upon a Time. Once upon a time, there was an an Anacarian going through the woods, and they stumbled upon 5 pathways that they could go into. They looked at the pathways, trying to decide which path would be the best and what it could potentially lead them to. While they pondered their thoughts about these said 5 paths, many told tales about the great treasures that Arcanian found along the way, such as the one they chose when they chose the path that led them to the Urza's Tower. Powder, so I couldn't be much more aggressive since they aren't. Their list is much more meanderingly better than before. The two had decent art. Alright, they found a tower, played said tower. We're going to play an expedition map, and we're going to go on, we're going to go guiding them with our goblin. Guide them down the path of the Urza's Tower that they had found. That story was great, right? I'm the best storyteller ever. Alright, so they're drawing a Reality Smasher for turn. Come on and get up. It's time to smash now. Temple for land for turn. And is this the Matter Shaper? This is in fact the Matter Shaper. Alright, so we draw another Boros Charm for turn. So we're going to go ahead and shock. And then... think we'll just go ahead and Searing Blaze this. I like the Blaze here because we're really trying to get our stuff going. That's kind of awkward that they're going to draw a Chalice of the Void after that, though. Shuts off our Bolt and our Goblin Guide that we could have played. And they find in All Is Dust. It's possible that because of Chalice, we should have just bolted and Goblin Guided, but... oh, they actually play another Matter Shaper instead. That's good for us. Ah, no land. Alright. So we're going to go ahead, play our land. Start with a Bolt here. See what they find this time. They find an Urza's Mine, which will go into play. We will then play a Goblin Guide. We will then go to combat. We will attack with said Goblin Guides, which will find them another Power Plant and an Eldrazi Temple. There you go, opponent. See, I'm helping you. You're finding your land drops. Opponent takes 4 down to 9, and we're going to suspend this here Rift Bolt. Oh, they actually have Tron next turn. And we'll say go. Alright, what you got, opponent? What do you got with your bajillion mana over there? Is this a Thought Knot Seer? It is. My thoughts have been knotted. Which means, do we get smashed here or do we get Chalice for 2? That is the question. Oh, another Thought Knot Seer. Yikes. Our opponent's hand was very good. Hey, what up, Hinkley? Glad to have you in chat, man. So now the question is, do we Rift Bolt our opponent? I think we do, because there's a big difference between 7 and 6. Alright, not really what we were looking to draw here, but it is a redraw. Okay. We'll take a Lava Man. Lava Man can help us get rid of these Thought Knots, as well as potentially get in the final points of damage. Opponent plays that other Temple. And they're in the tank. I think the play I would make if I was our opponent, because you're at 6, and you know I have no cards in hand, I would All Is Dust, play a Chalice on 2, and attack for 8. I think we're pretty dead if they do this correctly. Or Karn. Karn probably has something that can kill us. Ooh, that's not bad. Winnow boxes are always fun. Alright, so they do have the card that gives them hexproof. I think we're pretty dead here. Ooh, nice. Love me some Pioneer. No attacks from the opponent. Alright, so what if I go to combat? And I attack with both Goblin Guides. You see that there's another All Is Dust on top. Alright, draw me a burn spell. Wrong type of burn spell. So I guess we'll suspend this Rift Bolt and pass. Hey, what up, A-OK? How's it going, my dude? Glad to have you here. We're 1-0 currently in the league. This is game 2 where we won game 1. This one not looking so hot. Opponent's trying to figure out how to maneuver. I think we have some burn spells that say each opponent, right? Oh, maybe not actually. I almost made these Skullcracks Atarka's commands for that reasoning. But I think I probably should have actually. Might be something to keep in mind. They're a little harder to cast, but the fact that they get through Ley Line of Sanctity is always worth, in my opinion. What you grabbing, opponent? Opponent's thinking about what to get. They grab a Walking Ballista. Alright. I have seen enough, opponent. So going on to game 3, do we want to change anything here? I don't think so. I think I like how this deck looks. Especially on the play, Revelry can hit like an expedition map if needed. I think we'll run it back again. I would like to be on the play. I would definitely not like to keep this 5-lander. Yikes. Sometimes you mulligan a 5-lander into a no-lander. Wow. My opponent wanted to complain about bad luck. I mean, we're not going to 3, so... I think we're just going to keep the Boros charms because... Oh, no, wait. We can't keep the Boros charms. We just don't have a white source. Yeah, I mean... This one's basically over but the crying. You know, sometimes RNG will get you. Go get him, Swift Spear. Opponent plays a Mind Stone. We got him, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. I don't know what there is to play around, but rather be safe than sorry. Go get him, Swift Spear. I believe in you. Opponent has 6 cards in hand to my 1. If they play a Thought-Knot Seer, I'm conceding. Alright, good game, opponent. You know? Sometimes you mulligan to 4 in Magic the Gathering. It'd be like that. Sometimes there's not anything you can do. Alright. Hit our opponent with the GLHF. And I would like to be on the play. Alright, we have a good hand here. We're going to go ahead and keep. Same thing, we have our white source already, and because of the Eidolons, I want to conserve some life total. So we're going to fetch a mountain, play a Goblin Guide. Not this time. Play a Swift Spear and attack for 1. Island, sleight of hand, so probably Storm. So the fact that we kept a hand with Eidolons is going to be great. Go ahead and play an Eidolon. Attack our opponent and pass. Opponent casts the Serum Visions. Yeah, these 2 Eidolons should really lock up this matchup. Go to combat, attack for 3. Then we will cast yet another Eidolon of the Great Revel. Alright, opponent, you're under the gun. Opponent's gonna just pass and move to discard. Oh, okay, they're Twiddle Storm. Attack them for 5. Pass the turn. And we'll just go ahead and Boros Charm them. And bam. Alright, so against Twiddle Storm, Core Firewalker is actually not that good against Storm decks, because they can always go above the life that you gain. Skullcrack isn't going to do a whole lot here. Destructive Revelry doesn't do a whole lot in this matchup. We're kind of just in a race against our opponent here. So we don't really want Path, and we don't really want Grim Lavamancer. We do want, like, the Rips, though, because they're good, good disruption. And I think Rip is all we really want in this matchup. This is a matchup that would help us if our Destructive Revelries were Cinder Vines, but I like being able to blow up Expedition maps on turn 1 on the play. So I think next we take out a Searing Blaze. Actually, Searing Blaze is just awful. You should probably just be a couple Skull Cracks. Yeah. Searing Blaze is never going to have a target out of their deck. They don't play like the creatures typically. So I think we're going to go ahead and try it like this. Alright. Eidolon is the most important card in this matchup. Typically, I would not keep a one-lander and burn. But we have a lot of plays in this hand. And the fact that we have an Eidolon against the deck that folds to Eidolon so hard, I'm going to keep this hand. Opponent plays an island and then passes, and like an expert, we draw our second land. So we will go Sunbaked Canyon into Monastery Swiftspear. Our opponent will cycle a Lonely Sandbar. Lonely, they're Mr. Lonely. They have nobody to call their own. Alright, so while I'd like to just get all these creatures down, I think it's more important that we play Eidolon. Alright, they're going to play a 0 mana draw card here. Oh, they're tapping our land. That's cute. Huh. Alright, I've actually played the opponent's deck, but I never thought about using it as like a pseudo tap land. That was a good play by our opponent, and honestly might help them win this game. There's a solid chance we just die. We shall see. Opponent said that was an awkward Swiftspear. I agree. It was not the ideal Swiftspear. Alright, so we drew another Eidolon, which is good. Our opponent cast an Ideas Unbound. So they drew 3 cards for 0 mana. They're going to opt here. I think they're digging for an answer to Eidolon, because it's pretty hard for them to win through where they were. Alright, opponent. So if you don't win this turn, you are very, very dead. The good old Eidolon against burn. Always feels good. Alright, and the first two matchups weren't really great Eidolon matchups. You know, they ended up getting boarded out after game one. But that matchup's shown you why you play Eidolon of the Great Revel and Burn. It just gives you free wins sometimes. So we are now 2-1. We're going to hit our opponent with the GLHF. We won the die roll, so we will be on the play. And yeah, we'll definitely keep this hand. We're going to actually lead on Fetch Shocking for a Sacred Foundry here. Grab a Sacred Foundry, play a Swifty, and attack for 1. Castle Garenbrig turn 1, so that means they're probably some form of Titan deck. Which means Eidolon is not going to be at its best, but I think we can actually get Eidolon down early enough that it might do something here. So I think it's worth playing. Worst case, it's a creature that'll get in some damage for us. Sakura Tribe Scout from the opponent. Means they probably have a bounce land for turn. They in fact have a bounce land for turn. And then back to us. I'm going to go ahead and bolt the Sakura Tribe Scout. Attack for 4, put him to 12. And then we'll go ahead and suspend this Rift Bolt. Ghost Quarter is what they play. And they have an Azusa. So they get to play a couple extra lands here. And then we get to see if we can kill them. Believe we can. If we just, you know, send everything up to the old upstairs. So if we kill this, that's 2, 4, 10. I actually think we can kill the Azusa too. Just in case our opponent has something. Then we're going to skewer our opponent. And skewer our opponent. And that's where you see having like the skewers over the... All good, man. That's where you see having the skewers over the skull cracks in the main really help. They really do help like increase your goldfish. So against Titan, Rip and Core Firewalker don't seem good. I actually like Skullcrack in this matchup. Destructive Revelry is good for blowing up their amulets. I think Lavamancer is awkward. It's both good and bad. I think that's the easy 5 we don't want. Now it's time for the hard decisions. Is Eidolon good enough? I think the answer is yes. I think we can take out spikes. This card was like a maybe before, but I think the fact that they played Dryad now, we keep it in for sure. I think I like Lava Man on the play, but not on the draw. Because on the play, it can kill scouts. I think that's the same problem I have with like Riftbolt and Skewer. I like Path for killing Titans. Maybe we just actually trim Helix. No, I think these are just like more awkward. I think Riftbolt might actually be better in this matchup. Just because Riftbolt delays them from playing it. I guess it really... They kind of do the same thing, actually. Yeah. I think we're going to try it like this. Yeah, this is a good burn hand. Good damage, some canopy lands for if we have to start cycling them. Go ahead and keep. Our opponent keeps and leads on a Talaria West. Which means they probably have a bounce land for next turn. We'll go ahead and hit them with the Swift Spear. And next turn we can go ahead and play our Eidolon. That's good. That's a green source for Destructive Revelry for when we need it. Opponent cast their 0 mana Once Upon a Time. Once upon a time there was a Radiant Fountain. That one's rude. Get that one out of here. Not allowed to have Radiant Fountains in this house. Gosh. Our opponent, thinking they can gain life in this house. How rude. Then they got the Azusa. Do they have another bounce land? They do. Wow. It's a really good hand for them. I actually think this is like a matchup that they're like slightly favored in. Alright, so we're going to play this. I'm going to go ahead and Boros Charm our opponent. And we really can't let them have Azusa another turn. And we'll hit our opponent for 5. I assume we're getting Primeval Titaned here. We in fact are. And what does this Primeval Titan get? If we draw a burn spell, we actually can kill our opponent. Because that's 10 damage. Well, you need a 1 mana burn spell. Because that's 10 damage plus, plus 2. Guess not anymore, sadly. Sadly, they gained life on us. This is the hard part of this matchup, is all the Radiant Fountains. It's not that good of a draw here. Alright, so what if we Boros Charm you? Guess then we just die to the Titan. Puts them to 4, but then we die. Yeah, I think we just have to say go, sadly. Big chonkers. Opponent's thinking about their plays. They play said Radiant Fountain to go up to 8. Which I think takes out just about any way we could win this game. Alright, we can actually win this game by drawing a Boros Charm. As long as they don't have another Radiant Fountain or another way to make a Radiant Fountain. Yeah, if we actually block with Eidolon, we have outs to win this game. One, two, three, 4. Oh. Yeah, I'm dumb. Alright, game 3. I didn't think about Amulet putting them into play untapped now. Alright, so do we want to change anything? I think I like Lavamancer more than Skewer on the play. I think I still like all of the utility burn spells more. Maybe Skewer is better than Lightning Helix on the play. Because the life really isn't going to matter for us. But Skewer does the same thing as Helix. It just doesn't do the same thing on the draw because... I guess it does do the same thing on the draw, doesn't it? Yeah, I think we were just probably supposed to have Skewers over Helixes. Not that it would have really changed anything that last game. Yeah. I think we're going to try it like this. What do you think, guys? What do you think, chat? Like this sideboarding plan for game 3 against Titan? Which gives us like more ways to kill things when we play it on turn 1. Also lets us be a little more proactive. It's possible this was just how we were supposed to sideboard in general. Thinking about it now. The Lightning Helix cleans up Azusa pretty well, actually. Maybe we're just supposed to leave in Helix. Skewer being a sorcery is kind of awkward. Yeah. That is very fair. Yeah. I think the fact that Helix is an instant actually gives Helix the edge. Yeah, let's try this. I would like to be on the play. Yeah, this is definitely a racing hand. So we go Lava Man on 1, Swifty, attack for 3. We set up some burn spells. Opponent mulligans to 6. Ends up keeping their 6. So we'll go ahead and play a Lava Man and say go. Slayer's Stronghold into Amulet. We unfortunately don't have the green source to cast that, and if we did, I'd be on top of the world. So I think we're just gonna get in there with the squad. Opponent plays a bounce land. And then I assume we're getting Dryaded here, yep. Come on, give me a green source, please. Papa needs a green source. Papa needs a green source. That's not a green source. Alright. Go to combat. Hiya. So we'll go ahead and bolt that Dryad. Gotta get the Dryad dead. And then say go. Hopefully we draw a green source. We can Revelry Array this Amulet. Potentially leave up Skullcrack also. Opponent's in the tank here. So it is notable that, like, maybe we are short a couple green sources for the to be able to splash. If this was a Wear Tear, it would have been cast, or if we potentially had like an extra fetch land. Because I have thought about going down to 3 Inspiring Vantage, even though it's like the best land in the deck. Because the canopy lands are great, and they're the only reason we can really afford to play 20 lands in the deck. But sometimes Vantages are awkward, but they're also really good, so I don't know. Oh, we might just actually get Titaned this turn. I didn't think about this. Yeah. They just get to cast a Titan here. Yikes. It's not very good for us. Yeah. Not having the green source kind of is going to cost us this game. It's unfortunate. They probably get Radiant Fountain green source here. Because it's a misplay on our opponent's part if they don't get something that's also a green source. Might actually just be Radiant Fountain bounce land, yeah. Then you bounce your Radiant Fountain after floating a mana with it. Amulet's such an absurd deck. Yeah. Why not? Well, there's that green source I've been asking for. But, I think you're a little late, bud. Yeah, I think this is probably just like the best deck in Modern, and it's not even close. Skullcrack you. Now we take 6. No zombies here. I think I'd rather fetch now. Just because I might need the life. This is what I mean, like this game... If we had gotten to play this earlier, this would be such a different game, I think. As is, I think we're drawing to 0 outs. Can't think of anything that really saves us this game. Opponent's in the tank about something. I wonder what the opponent's thinking about. So if they play anything that makes white mana, we are just dead. No, this is modern. I don't think Embercleave is really a modern playable card. Opponent's trying to figure it out. I think if they literally just attack me twice, I die. They're trying to figure it out. It feels bad. We ended up stealing game 1, which, winning any games against Amulet is actually really difficult. But especially beating this deck on the play. Or in game 1. They gain 2 more life. Up to 12. There definitely is nothing we can draw here. So, all right, we're 2-2 now. Let's see if we can't happen to pull our trophy, or not our trophy, but our pull our money back out. And this is kind of like, it's not really a complaint of mine. It is, but it isn't. Like, Modern, it's just a 2-3 format now. And what I mean by that, this hand's good, we're gonna keep. What I mean by that is you don't really get punished or rewarded for whatever deck you bring, as much as you get punished or rewarded by whatever decks your opponents bring. So it really comes down to your opponent's deck selection, because matchups are so polarizing. We're actually in a mirror right now. So being on the play is very good. Oh, they're playing like Prowess, which makes this Eidolon even better. We unfortunately have to fetch Shock here, though, because we want access to white mana. But yeah, so the way you really have to look at Modern right now is you can play whatever you like, because ultimately whatever your opponent ends up playing is actually the relevant factor. Am I killing this and just hitting my opponent for 2? No, I think we're going to try to min-max. Attack for 2 and pass. Yeah, we'll take this. Probably a light up the stage. Yep. Crash through Manamorphose. Alright. They are turning through their deck. Alright, they found a Lava Dart, so they're just going to kill our Swift Spear here. Which is fine. So we're going to go ahead and bolt them. Then skewer the Swift Spear. And then attack. Alright, so we're in a pretty good spot. They had a Bedlam Reveler, which is good for them. We are unfortunately 1 point off of lethal. But we do have a blocker. So I'm going to just go ahead and pass here. I think it's pretty hard for our opponent to kill us. We are at 15. Soulscar Mage. Go ahead and block. We will then bolt our opponent. And we will then Boros charm our opponent. Alright, so you're at 1 and I got 2 draws. Okay. It's just to kill my Swift Spear. Alright, can we kill him? That'll do it. Skewer to the dome. Alright. And so they're probably bringing in Dragon's Claws, which makes me kind of want Destructive Revelries, but also it's pretty low on targets. So rips don't seem good. I actually don't like Path in this matchup, because I think we can kill most of their creatures otherwise. I think Skullcrack is pretty medium. Eidolon is good on the play, but not on the draw. I typically just don't like bringing these effects in. And I think we can take out the old lava spikes. Just try to be a little more of an interactive deck. Have some hate cards. Skullcrack lets us cast spells through Dragon's Claws. Yeah. Let's run it like this. Lavamancer kills their creatures pretty easily. So this is kind of a medium hand, but I'm going to keep it because we have our sideboard card. This hand got a lot better after drawing our turn 1 play. Well, our turn 1 play has dead. Alright, there's the Dragon's Claw, so we will be bringing in Destructive Revelries. But here's our Dragon's Claw. We'll go ahead and always yield, and then on the next Core Firewalker we'll always yes, always yield. Oh wow, no play. Alright, so we will go ahead and just fetch us a basic. Always yes, always yield. And then we'll get the beats on. They'll go ahead and crash through. So I think they're trying to find like a Reveler. Alright, we'll go ahead and shock here. I guess there was no reason to shock actually. That was kind of a misplay on my part. A little bit of an oopsie poodle. Alright, and the opponent's down to 8. They wild slash us. Light up the stage. Finding Bedlam Reveler and Bone Crusher Giant. We find a Searing Blaze, which isn't bad. Go ahead and crack one of these canopies. Go ahead and crack another canopy. We found our lands, chat. And we'll put our opponent to 8. They'll go ahead and stomp us end a turn here. Then cast a Bedlam Reveler. Discarding some mountains. and they'll go ahead and stomp us. Ooh, that's awkward. We actually don't have double white this turn. Do we attack? I don't think we can actually. Alright, Swift Spear from them. Manamorphose. Another Manamorphose. They are going in. Oh, they found another Bedlam Reveler. That's pretty good. Yeah, so unfortunately not having that second white really affecting us. Yeah, you have a Bone Crusher too. Alright, so on to us. That's a pretty good draw. They have one Lava Dart in the graveyard is all. So we're going to go ahead and play a Core Firewalker. We're going to then go ahead and attempt a Lightning Bolt Swift Spear. It resolves. So then we will Searing Blaze our opponent and their Bone Crusher Giant. Will always yield. Then we'll attack for 2. So they have another draw 3, but we're gaining more life at this point. I think they're ahead. And they cast the Bone Crusher, I assume, yep. And a light up the stage. Which finds Kozilek's Return and another Bedlam Reveler. Alright, we're done here. We'll go on to game 3. The Kozilek's Return will do us. So now that we know, we definitely want Destructive Revelries. Man, but they only hit Dragon's Claw. This is the awkward thing about this matchup. Like, I want to bring in Revelry because it feels so important, but like at the same time, I would hate to just have a dead card sitting in our hand. I agree. Rip indeed. Or are you saying you think we want Rip to shut off the Bedlam Revelers? I think Rip kind of falls into the same situation as Destructive Revelry, where, like, there are just, like, some times that it's just not going to do anything. Really like to, Yeah, I think Rip is awkward, though. That's kind of the problem with this matchup, is there's a lot of awkward cards. So, like, you can bring cards in that do things, but, like, they only do things if your opponent should draw, like, one of their, like, X-ofs. And they just, like, don't do anything otherwise. And typically in a deck like Burn, I lean towards not bringing those cards in. just because you need your deck to be efficient. Like, even Amulet, it's, like, close for bringing in Revelry. Oof, no lander. Did I keep this on accident? That feels bad. Oh no. Man, we're just in Misclick City right now, I guess. I think we have to shock, sadly. Get rid of their Swift Spear. And they have the turn 2 Dragon's Claw. I have been very skillful as a magician. Well, we are behind, and if we somehow happen to win this game, we definitely do not deserve it. Can't believe I accidentally kept a no-lander. That's hilarious. I think that's the first time I've done that on accident. I've definitely like F6 through turns before, but I don't think I've ever just like accidentally kept a hand I didn't mean to. We are super never winning this game. Yeah, maybe you like have to bring in Revelry. It just feels so bad. Like, I think the only way we win this game now is if our opponent literally has nothing in their hand. Which is very well possible. They could have just, like, kept their hands off the back of 2 Dragon's Claws. And honestly, even if they kept a hand of nothing, there's probably a good chance they still get there. Alright. Okay. Let's pay 2 mana to deal 2 damage to you. This is our stomp. Where's our Bone Crusher Giant that comes with it? Alright. We'll yeah, we'll suspend the Rift Bolt, I suppose. This game is definitely an uphill battle for us. Keeping on no-lander and our opponent having 2 Dragon's Claws definitely feels bad. Alright. There's just physically no way, no matter what, we beat that. So, Yeah, I guess maybe we are supposed to bring in Destructive Revelries in that matchup. It just like, it feels so bad to like look at your hand and have a blank, you know. And like Rip, I could honestly get talked into Rip probably easier than I could Destructive Revelry. Even though like Dragon's Claw is so good against us, like they have to have their one of anywhere between a 2 to 4 of in their sideboard, or they literally have no other artifacts. So I 2-3'd here. I don't think I'd change anything. I would maybe add an extra green source. I think that's like the only thing I'm at right now. I might trim an Inspiring Vantage and put in one Copperline Gorge. I think that might be the call. Or maybe just up a fetch, go up to 7 fetches. Could see either. But yeah, burn's burn. Kind of like what I was saying, you know. Sometimes you run into people who want to beat you, or like you run into unwinnable matchups, and that's just kind of how Modern is. It be like that, but it do. So I think I'm going to be getting off, but before I get off, hop back over to momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro.com so you can find all the links we're going to be talking about. If you're watching on YouTube, check down in that description box below for all the links I'm going to be talking about, but try to tune in live sometimes to hang around and chat with us, kind of like Celestine, Talk Run, Siggy Stardust, and Almost Omniscient did today, which I appreciate every time people do. If you're looking to find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook at Mom's Basement Games. Give us a like. You can find us on Twitter at Mom's Basement MTG. Go ahead and give us a follow there. And you can find us on YouTube, where you can find all the VODs that we make for the best Standard, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, Pauper, Pioneer, Draft, and Vintage Cube content. On top of that, I would super appreciate it if you gave me a follow on Twitter. My Twitter's at RichardTMTG. I talk Magic, memes, League of Legends, Legends of Runeterra. Anything else you want to talk about, hit me up there. If you're looking for other forms of social media, you can find us on Instagram at MomsBasementMTG. You can also find me on Instagram at RichieT2196. But with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and head on out of here. And I will talk to you guys later. Hope you have a wonderful day.